Yeah, hello everybody. This is Chill Billy with Tamriel Goblin, and today I'm bringing you our first vodcast. I've recorded several times this morning trying to get the right sound coming out of this microphone, and it's not so helpful at all. Let's get started with some of the key points of the vodcast. We're going to be covering value and market prices, the open market, veteran level content, PvP alliance and point spending, selling items on the open market, local sales, and updates to the Tamriel Goblin. Uh, to be honest with you, I've been working so hard at this lately, especially to level up my tune and get these things done. And I've had several people very supportive. They've given me feedback. They told me that my voice is not loud enough on my videos, and I'm toying with that. I'm messing with and I've got to put it out there that this is my first time doing anything like this, so it's a learning experience. And like I said before, I love feedback. So if you can give me feedback, tell me how these things are coming through, I'd really appreciate it. You know what? And I'm not the kind of guy that goes by a schedule. I like to just talk. Just write. And I've had very many people tell me who have experience with vodcasts and podcasts to write down what you're gonna say and then go by that. And I've just never been that type of person. I've always tried to recall right off the top of my head, what I'm trying to speak about. So it. I'm sorry if it comes across as a little unorganized, but that's just the way I am. So with the value and market prices, I played over the last couple of days, uh, leveling my character. I've found that several different ways to level fast and efficient and get a lot of loot at the same time and go into the open market and sell and try that. And it's pretty difficult. You're going to get out there and you're going to try to sell your item, and you're forced to get trolled to the price that you're asking for, and really and truthfully, they're not all that wrong for trolling you if you ask just astronomical amounts for the item that you're trying to sell. I want to reiterate that the colors don't mean anything when it comes to items. All that does is tell you how rare the item is, but that doesn't mean it should attribute to its value. A lot of players, they like to, they see a purple item, uh, and I want to say that and I may be wrong on this, but I want to say that World of Warcraft was the first one to do a colored item like that, and then several other games copied that the color scheme for the items. And then moving on, people see those items, and of course, in World of Warcraft, they were very rare to see a purple item unless you were a high level, and purple items at low levels were very valuable because they were so rare. But purple items are very frequent in the Elder Scrolls Online. Blue items are pretty frequent as well, and so with greens, as a matter of fact, I've gotten more blue items as I've gotten with green items, and that goes without saying that I dropped the greens to pick up the blues, just because of the improvement materials that come with the blues versus the greens. And I've got plenty of honing stones. I think I'm up to like 20 or something like that, and I break down every item and I sell some of them to the vendor. Your average sold items on the open market nowadays, or I don't want to say nowadays, uh, in the early days, of course, you've got motifs are selling on the open market, and people are pretty straight up forward wanting to buy those because they want to build in the different styles. And I've been asked, is it okay to buy all these motifs? And I said, no, don't do that. Don't do that. You're gonna pick them up as you find them. If you go to your dressers and your nightstands and things like, you're gonna find them. They're pretty frequent. Consider, I mean, well, I've picked up 9 or 10 of them, no problem. And they were different ones. Now I have not picked up uh, the Imperial one yet, which I saw that, and that seems to be a pretty rare one. Uh, However, that shouldn't affect the price. What I've seen them go for now has been about 1,000 gold per motif, give or take a couple of thousand. Now I have bundled and sold motifs for uh, 2,000 gold. And what I've done is I've taken style things like star metal or bones or obsidian or something, and sold that with the motif, the correct motif that is. And that seems to sell it a little better, even though you can buy those materials from the vendor. If you match the price, you can still pretty much say, let's say 25 uh, style materials for 450 gold, and that puts you at about 1950, counting in that you have the motif with it. Moving on, your provision items, recipes, such things like that, they're selling pretty well. Uh, the fortified sweet roll, I've seen it going for 1,500 to 2,000 gold per recipe. Uh, it's going to change. A lot of those things are going to go down, especially with the influx of people that we have playing. This weekend, we saw a peak in how many players were actually playing the game. We should expect to see more this week. And it absolutely is a wonderful game. You'll see a lot of people complaining is that there's a lot of bugs out there, but World of Warcraft is a very successful example. It had a lot of bugs at the start. People were stuck at the griffins; they couldn't fly, and it was a mess. But you're gonna expect that type of thing. People are very pampered. They are so used to everything working at its full potential and not bug quest or anything like that. So they're very cynical towards a broken system, and the maintenance has put them down out of being able to do their normal work, their normal gameplay. Some of them have taken off vacation to play the opening couple of weeks of the launch, and they're not able to play because of the patches, and that's making them ill. Um, but there's several things that probably should be done around the house, but nobody's going to do that. Third and final thing I want to talk about, selling items, the weapons and armor. If you're out there trying to sell a purple item, people are going to ask ridiculous prices for those items. Plain and simple. You've got people selling necklaces and chest armor and legs and hands and feet and all kinds of other things, purple items at mid-level, 35, 30, 25, different colors, also blue, purple. Haven't seen any yellow ones yet, but the people are trying to sell those items, and they're asking too much. You don't sell a chest plate, 37 level chest plate purple for 10,000 gold. People don't have that type of money, so you're obviously going to be laughed at. People are trying to get up there and buy their fast horse. They're not going to waste it on a 37 level chest plate. Asking too much. That's so amateur. You don't ask more money than somebody can afford just because you're greedy. An important thing to add is these chest plates and leg plates and hand plates and feet plates, they can all be reused and resold. So the price of these items should be low. It should be low as you can get them. 500 gold, 1,000 gold. That's not too much to ask for those prices. People have 1,000. They don't have 10,000. They're trying to save up for that horse, and you're selling an item at level 35 or 37 or whatever you want to sell it for, and you just can't do that. Selling those items, it is. Don't be fooled when you're out in that marketplace either. If you see an item going for 3,000 gold, it's a purple item and it's all glorious and everything else, don't be fooled by that. Offer a low price. If they don't take the low price, go and grind, build something better. You can go in the blacksmith and take a couple of dwarven iron, build your own chest plate for that price. And it's probably cheaper. The open market is still unsure. It's pretty awful, actually. The amount of prices out there, the different items selling. You can't hardly find a buyer. If you do find a buyer, they want you to mail the item. And then you have to figure out the postage. And the best thing to do is just go ahead and eat the postage and don't expect them to pay it, because they're going to agree to a certain price and they're not going to want to pay that postage, because if it's 1,000 gold, it's 10%. You're paying 100 gold extra. They're not going to want to pay that, so it's best to just eat it. Go ahead and eat that. And then you have 900 gold versus 1,000, but you're still looking at, a pretty good profit off of a 0% investment. The market's up and down right now. It's not a good time to buy anything. It's certainly a good time to sell things, because people don't know the value of the item that you're selling it. However, that gets into kind of a scam area too. You have people going around to these different vendors at higher level. There are vendors that sell blue items, and they will take those items, put them on the open market, put a little enchant on them, whatever, and then say that they got it so-and-so, they want it so-and-so, and it's bullshit is what it is. And they will try to scam you for gold, because people do not understand the market. They do not understand the economy. And that's why we're here. Figuring out the economy has been kind of a hard thing to do, especially with leveling and moving on through high-level content. And, of course, I'm stuck at a required quest to get into veteran-level content, and it's just been a pain in the tail with the broken quest. But look at it with the best opportunity to get out there and level another character. Move on. I've worked very hard to get to where I am with my character. Of course, I'm sure that if anybody's listening to this podcast, that they know that they have been working too. They've been working hard. And that's good. You should be working hard. I cannot say that anybody has complained at the amount of content in this game. Not a single person has complained. There's just not enough content. Is that not just the funniest thing ever? People are not complaining about the content. However, if you went into another game, let's say, for instance, World of Warcraft, Wrath of the Lich King was too short. It was the best expansion, but it was too short. Cataclysm ruined the world, and the quests were too short. 5 levels, it felt like 30 minutes. What a bunch of shit. And then these people are there, they're coming into this game and they're like, wow, there's a lot of content. I'm sick of leveling. I'm sick of questing. I'm sick of grinding. And they find other things to complain about, but if you look at it, where has the time gone? You've spent most of your time leveling. You spent most of your time questing. You don't have time for the market. And that's what has kind of set me back, and that's why you've pretty much had radio silence over the last couple of days, is because I have not had time to sit down and figure it all out. But at the same time, I've seen things and absorbed these things, and I have been able to pick up on a couple of things that will allow you to sail very high. Look out for wood and ore and different types of things like that. I've seen several different instances where people were selling iron ore at very, very low prices. Of course, you have the gold spammers as well, but if you notice over the last couple of days, if you go into some of the later zones, you don't see very many gold sellers because they stay at low levels generally. They'll create new accounts, go into Glenumbra, pop into their zone chat and sell items. They won't be selling items, they'll be selling gold. And there will be people that buy it. And that's where we get the problem. If nobody bought gold with real money, we would not have that problem. People are willing to dump out cash, and they are lazy. I had a friend. I want to kind of put this on the sidetrack. I had a friend that at one time considered himself a gold goblin of his own World of Warcraft. He was gold capped on his account. He told me all kinds of ways to make money, and every time I tried it, it didn't work. So I had to figure out things on my own, and that's what got me here today. That's what made me an economist. That's what, allowed me to go to other games and use my own techniques, the things that I've written myself, and I know how they work. And I go into these games and I can just dominate the market with little things. This guy, he tell me all kinds of tricks and tips and things like that, and they never worked. And I just could not understand, how does he have so much gold? Did he use a guide? So I go on Google and I look up different guides and come across this website called Just My 2 Copper. Actually, a friend of mine at work actually gave me Just My 2 Copper and said, hey, check this out. So I went over there and I looked at it and I started reading and listening to this guy talk about different things, the economy, and I didn't realize it was that deep of a thing. So I started studying on it, and a couple of my friends from work, of course, they did the same thing. They listened to the newsletter. And I really was thankful of this guy. And then it turns out that this guy is selling a guide on how to make money. So I go and I look at that, but I didn't buy it. But I looked at it and I said, this is a lot of the stuff that we're already doing. We're taking our different professions and using our different professions to do this. And taking, for instance, my boss, he does it. He already did it at the time, and he took what I knew, and he turned it into 500,000 gold. And I was small potatoes at the time. I was at 250,000. He was already at 500,000. And he was taking that money, he was reinvesting it into the market, and he was driving the prices down in the area that he was selling, and then he would buy it all back at the lower price and then resell it later when the price went back up, and it was ridiculous. The way he was able to dominate that market, he just got into the market. And where others had failed, when the price went down, low, he bought it all. Even the stuff that he was selling, he bought. And it made the price go right back up, and then he put it back up and sell it again, and it would go right back down. So I asked that friend of mine that had told me about all his goal success and all the tips and the different things that he did. And I asked him about it. And he wasn't able to tell me details on what he was able to do. And you know, I went over to my boss and I asked my boss, I said, you know, how do you do it? And he said, well, that's what I do. Is he explained about buying the lower price things. When those things started to fall, he'd buy it all up and it'd make the price go right back up for a while. He'd sell again and then do it, rinse and repeat. There was hardly ever a time where he was actually using his profession. He was just sitting there at the auction house. That brings up another valid point. You know, you're talking about running an auction house on Elder Scrolls Online, and this is just such a bad idea. Such a bad idea. It will destroy everything that we love about Elder Scrolls. And the reason I say that is because most people don't know what it's like. I've sat at an auction house for 4 hours, never left the auction house, just sat there and bought and sold. And I was selling, and I'd run back to the mailbox, run to the bank, come back, go to the auction house. I never played the game. I was always at that frickin' auction house. And that's why I don't want to see that happen to Elder Scrolls, because that's all it's going to be, is people are going to be at that auction house, and they're going to run back and forth to the mailbox. And then that's it. Well, they're not going to have to run back to the mailbox, but same thing. A friend of mine, though, he was buying gold. And he was funding people's accounts to get hacked. And that's where they come from. That's where they get the money, is they hack accounts. Either that or people are paying to power level. They'll get their account password. Later on down the road, after the power level and the transaction is complete, they come back in. And obviously that player has not changed his password. Gets on that account. Sells every damn thing. Comes in, takes the money, and then sells the money. And every time that you buy gold, you are funding that to happen, that unfortunate thing to happen. Moving on. I'm getting a little bit comfortable with the podcast now, so it's pretty fun. So when you're moving into your PvP thing, in case you were wondering, the adventure zones are coming soon, from what the launcher said today. PvP is wonderful. I'm in a guild called Mostly Harmless. That's run by a fella named Rook. Very nice guy. Very nice guy. And as a matter of fact, we were talking about it the other day, that he never gets angry. And anytime that he does get angry, he just tells you to stop doing what you're doing, and you immediately stop. And I don't think it's so much that he's intimidating. I think it's pretty much, okay, he's serious. That's power right there. He doesn't get angry. He doesn't get upset. He just lays down the law and you follow it. Never had to cross a man, and I hope I never do, because I want a bear kit. So selling items in the local market and the open market, you pretty much just post whatever you want to sell in the zone chat, which is subject to change. I'm sure they're going to add chat channels before too long. Go into the zone chat, want to sell whatever, post it up there, and your price. Don't forget to leave your price. Don't be one of those jackasses that posts the items up there and then makes the buyer put out an offer and then counter with a astronomical, no, it's not worth that. Why don't you put it up there, what it's worth, what you think it's worth, and allow the buyer to make a counter offer instead of the buyer make an offer and then you laugh at him. That's not a good idea. Don't do that. Don't laugh at your buyer, because that's who's going to be buying the item. And if they feel like they're being trolled, they are not going to buy the item from you. And you want that to happen, so do not troll your buyers. If the buyers are trolling you, ignore them. Don't fire back at them with, it's worth blah, 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 blah. I've been playing the game for 5 days. I know more than you. Listen to them, but ignore them. Because without response, people, they don't get butt hurt, for lack of a better word. So we're going to bring this podcast to a close, or podcast, I guess. It's just audio, there's no video this time, but I promise you, I am dying to have video in my podcast. I'm dying to show off my new studio. It is awesome. I've got studio foam up on the walls, and I cannot wait to share it with everyone. So obviously the update to Tamriel Go Goblin this week and this month is the podcast/vodcast. Welcome. Here we are. Of course, the newsletter is going to be coming out to you twice a week versus just the single one time. And giveaways, we're going to be trying to get that as soon as possible. So when we do these podcasts and these vodcasts, instead of recordings, we're actually going to do them live on Twitch and record them at the same time and put them up there. So we should have guests and other things. I'm working on getting my internet to work in my studio, which has been a very, very painful process. I'm on 4G at home, so it's very difficult for me to do that. I've got wires run through my door to my main computer. I've got a studio computer, but it doesn't have the internet. And it's awful. It's very awful. So, thank you guys for watching. This is Chill Billy. I'm not really watching. You guys are listening. Thank you guys for listening. I'm sorry this is my first podcast, and I am nervous as all get out. But thank you guys. We'll see you next time. Like, comment, subscribe, do all that following and all that other stuff. Sign up for our newsletter. And enjoy next time. We'll see you guys. Thank you.